We all know El Niño and La Niña, those Pacific climate patterns that shape our weather. But now, there's a new force in play, the AtlanticNiña, right in our own backyard. This isn't just another buzzword. The AtlanticNiña marks a major shift in the Atlantic Ocean's behavior, and scientists are watching closely. Why does it matter? The Atlantic is where hurricanes are born. Changes here can fuel or weaken the storms that threaten North America and the Caribbean. The arrival of AtlanticNiña signals a big change for hurricane season, and its impact could stretch into winter, affecting millions. For decades, we focused on the Pacific. Now, the Atlantic's engine is revving up in a new way. This isn't theory. It's happening right now, in August 2025. Ocean temperatures are shifting, wind patterns are changing, and our weather playbook is being rewritten. So, what is AtlanticNiña? How does it work? And what does it mean for you as we head into peak hurricane season and look toward winter? We'll break down why 2025 is the year of the AtlanticNiña, what makes it different from El Niño, and how it could bring colder, snowier winters for some, milder weather for others. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to weather. By the end, you'll know what's coming and how to prepare. Let's dive into this critical development and see what the AtlanticNiña means for the storms brewing over warm tropical waters. We'll compare it to El Niño and La Niña and explore its unique impact. Get ready to understand how this new pattern could shape the months ahead. The Atlantic is taking center stage. Are you ready? Let's get started. So what is AtlanticNiña? Simply put, it's when sea surface temperatures in the tropical eastern Atlantic are cooler than average. Picture the waters off West Africa, stretching west along the equator, normally warm, but now unusually cool. Like La Niña in the Pacific, this cooling is driven by stronger than normal trade winds pushing warm water westward, letting cooler water rise up, a process called upwelling. The result, a persistent patch of cool water in the eastern and central Atlantic, lasting for months. This isn't a blip. It's a large-scale seasonal pattern that must meet specific temperature thresholds to be officially declared. Why does it matter? This cool patch changes the energy balance of the entire Atlantic, setting off a chain reaction that affects hurricanes and even the winter jet stream. Think of it as a giant air conditioner for the ocean, cooling the air above and shifting atmospheric pressure patterns. The ocean and atmosphere feed off each other, reinforcing the pattern. Understanding this process is key to seeing why AtlanticNiña is a game changer for 2025's weather. With hurricane season underway, this pattern is already shaping what's to come. Let's see how it rewires the ocean and air. AtlanticNiña does more than cool water, it rewires the entire Atlantic atmosphere. The biggest change? It slashes vertical wind shear, the difference in wind speed and direction at different altitudes. Hurricanes need calm, uniform winds to grow, high wind shear tears them apart. AtlanticNiña lowers that barrier, giving storms a clear path to develop. Stronger trade winds push warm water west, piling it up in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico, prime fuel for hurricanes. The result? A two-part system, low wind shear across the basin, and a concentrated pool of warm water in the west. The African easterly jet, which helps generate tropical waves, also gets a boost from the temperature contrast created by AtlanticNiña. More vigorous tropical waves mean more seeds for potential hurricanes. In short, AtlanticNiña creates a welcoming environment for storms to form, grow, and intensify. This is why forecasters are sounding the alarm for an active season. Let's look at what this means for 2025. What does this mean for the 2025 hurricane season? The AtlanticNiña sets the stage for more and stronger storms. With low wind shear and a vast pool of warm water, the ingredients for hurricane formation are supercharged. In a typical year, we see about 14 named storms. This year, forecasters expect 20 or more. The lack of wind shear means more tropical waves can organize into storms, and the warm western Atlantic fuels rapid intensification. That's when a storm's winds jump by 35 miles per hour or more in just 24 hours, a dangerous scenario for coastal communities. The Bermuda High, influenced by AtlanticNiña, could steer storms on a more westerly track, raising the risk for the Caribbean and U.S. coastlines. It's not just about the number of storms, but where they go. For 2025, the odds favor more storms making landfall. The message: be ready for a season with higher risks and less time to prepare. Now let's see how AtlanticNiña stacks up against El Niño and La Niña. How does AtlanticNiña differ from El Niño and La Niña in the Pacific? El Niño warms the Pacific, increasing wind shear over the Atlantic and suppressing hurricanes. La Niña cools the Pacific, lowering wind shear and making the Atlantic more hurricane-friendly. AtlanticNiña, however, reduces wind shear, and boosts storm potential from within the Atlantic itself. If both a Pacific La Niña and an Atlantic Niña occur together, it's a recipe for a hyperactive hurricane season. Double the favorable conditions. The key difference: El Niño and La Niña are remote controls, operating from afar. AtlanticNiña is like adjusting the settings right on the machine. In 2025, AtlanticNiña is the dominant force regardless of what's happening in the Pacific. Its direct influence means more storms, more intensity, and more reason to pay attention. The Atlantic is running its own show this year. Let's see how this pattern could shape winter in North America. Atlantic. Nina's impact doesn't end with hurricane season. It shapes winter too. It shifts the jet stream, the high-altitude river of air that steers weather systems. For the eastern US and Canada, AtlanticNiña often triggers a negative North Atlantic oscillation, blocking milder air and letting Arctic cold plunge south. The result: colder than average temperatures and more snow for the Great Lakes, Northeast, and Mid-Atlantic. The jet stream's southward dip creates an active storm track, fueling classic nor'easters and big snow events. Meanwhile, the western US may see milder, drier conditions under a ridge of high pressure. This isn't a day-to-day forecast, but a signal for a harsher winter overall in the east. Prepare for more cold, more snow, and higher heating bills. The same ocean pattern fueling hurricanes is now setting the stage for winter. Let's cross the Atlantic and see what's in store for Europe. AtlanticNiña's reach extends to Europe, bringing a different kind of winter. The negative NAO pattern disrupts the usual west-to-east flow of mild air, especially in Western Europe. Northern Europe, Scandinavia, and the UK often gets colder, drier winters as high-pressure blocks storms and cold air flows in from the east. Fewer wet, windy systems reach Norway and Scotland. Instead, cold, dry air dominates. Meanwhile, southern Europe and the Mediterranean get wetter winters as the storm track shifts south. More rain means higher flood and landslide risks in places like Spain, Italy, and the Balkans. The continent's usual winter map is flipped: cold and dry in the north, wet and stormy in the south. This is the classic signature of a persistent negative NAO encouraged by AtlanticNiña. From London to Lisbon, this pattern will drive Europe's winter experience. A reminder that a shift in Atlantic waters can change the weather across an entire continent. Let's simplify. Imagine building a campfire. You need dry firewood, warm water, and calm air, low wind shear. Atlantic. Niña piles up the best firewood in the western Atlantic and builds a windbreak, letting the hurricane grow strong. El Niño is like a giant fan from far away, blowing out your fire, high wind shear. AtlanticNiña calms the air, letting storms thrive. For winter, picture the jet stream as a river. AtlanticNiña drops boulders in its path, forcing it to bend south, bringing cold to the eastern US, and shifting it in Europe, letting Siberian air in. These analogies show how AtlanticNiña creates a perfect setup for hurricanes, then disrupts winter weather patterns. It's not about one storm, but about tilting the whole system for months. From August heat to February snow, AtlanticNiña is the hidden hand shaping our weather. Understanding these patterns helps us prepare for what's ahead. Now let's talk about how you can get ready. Knowing about AtlanticNiña is only useful if you act on it. With an active hurricane season forecast, preparation is essential. Stay informed, follow trusted sources like the National Hurricane Center and local weather services. Have a weather app and a battery-powered radio. Make a plan. Know your evacuation route, safe shelter spots, and how to communicate if separated. Choose an out-of-state contact. Build a disaster kit, stock up on food, water, medications, first aid supplies, flashlights, batteries, and important documents in a waterproof bag. For winter, insulate your home, service your heating system, and keep a car kit with blankets, food, and a shovel. The 2025 forecast calls for vigilance. Nature is dynamic, but preparation is in your hands. Take action now, before the storms or cold arrive. Being ready means less panic and better decisions when it matters most. Weather can't be controlled, but your response can. Use this calm before the storm to get prepared. Your future self will thank you. Stay safe, stay informed, and face the season with confidence.